Another one of my walking in lecture moments. Before we get started, let me just remind everyone to make sure you tune in July 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna do another relational live stream lecture on full copy edit done by my publishing company. So if you want to find out what a accepted manuscript full copy edit read like, tune in and mark your calendar for July 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be ready to get on down to business. So with that being said, let's get on down to today's lecture. And the focus of this lecture is going to be, you must be internally driven. You must be internally driven for whatever goal that you're working on, a project that you're working on, self-improvement, self-development, whatever goal that you're working on, you must be internally driven, because if not, it's not going to work. You're not going to sustain doing what you need to do to complete that goal or that project or whatever you're working on. And that goal can be anything from getting out of debt, saving money, starting a business, writing a book, selling your house, losing weight, or removing toxic people out of your life. Whatever you're working on, or whatever issue or project you're working on, you must be internally driven to make it to the finish line, to achieve that goal. You cannot do something just because somebody else is doing it. You can't try to do something just because your mother, sister, brother, significant other, neighbor, co-worker is doing it. It ain't gonna work. It's power by being internally driven versus externally driven. Even as a content creator, if you wanna be a content creator and get your channel monetized and all of that, you got to do it for you versus because everybody else is starting a YouTube channel, or oh, that looks fun, or oh, I want to make a whole lot of money. That's external. Because if you're doing it for any other reason other than being internally driven, you're not going to sustain it. It's not going to last. It's going to show. If you're trying to lose that weight or eat healthy or improve your health, because neighbors are doing it, or co-workers are doing it, or everybody on social media doing it, it ain't going to last. Because when you lay your head down at night, you got to deal with you. You know what you're doing, on whether or not you're doing it for internal reasons or external reasons, or just to, prove something to somebody, or show everybody I'm doing this, rather it's co-workers, or people in your family, or people in the neighborhood, or people in the church, or people on social media. If you're doing it for all of those external reasons, it's not going to sustain itself. Especially when it comes to your health, in health and wellness, improving your health, improving your wellness, eating right, removing junk food out of your life, getting to the goal weight you want to get to in terms of based on your body frame. You got to do all those things for you. You can't try to change your health and wellness and eating right and losing weight because co-workers or everybody in the church is doing it, or folks in social media doing it, or somebody who know. If it ain't for yourself, it ain't gonna last. Because rather not, if you're changing from eating the junk food and the cake and the candy, you know this. And I've always known the power of being internally driven versus externally driven. And that's something that cannot be taught. Can't nobody teach you to be internally driven. Can't nobody show you how to do this. Internal is internal. That's the bottom line. Internal is internal. You can read all the self-help books in the world, but that cannot be taught. That's something that's given to us by God in terms of having faith in God and being internally driven. But that's just my stance on it. Because it's internal, it is not external. External and internal is not the same. Some people are externally motivated, to each his own. They're motivated by what everybody else is doing. They're motivated by what they see. If they see folks in the church doing this on a certain project or whatever, on the job, in the school, or in the community, or this is what they see on social media, that all this external motivation, to each his own. But to me, I think it's more power and being internally driven, because can't nobody take it away from you. You know, rather the spotlight is on you or not. When you are internally driven, you're going to press forward. Rather you fail sometimes, you're going to still press forward, and you're going to press forward, and you're going to press forward until you get to the finish line. You're going to understand the power of moving in silence. And you're going to announce that goal, whatever goal you was working on, or project that you was working on, when the goal has been achieved, when it has been accomplished, when you have achieved that goal. That's what moving in silence means. In order to do that, you got to be internally driven. You ain't blabbing your mouth and telling everybody everything everything about what you're working on, or your goals, or your dreams, or your aspirations, or your projects, or whatever. You know, when you let that goal achievement do the announcement for you. You ain't got to open your mouth. This is power, people. I can remember a long time ago when I was in the workforce, nobody knew. No co-workers didn't know, supervisors didn't know, HR didn't know I was moving in silence. Nobody knew I was working on my master's degree. I kept my mouth shut until I got that master's degree in my hand. I had to submit my information to HR because that master's degree set the platform for promotions. Nobody knew I was going to school to get my master's degree until I had graduated and got that master's degree in my hand. Co-workers didn't know, family members didn't know, neighbors didn't know, nobody in the church knew. I kept my mouth shut until I made it to the finish line. And then my supervisors and co-workers were in shock. You know, we didn't know you had a master's degree. Better yet, we didn't even know you was in school. And that's what I mean by a good example of being internally driven. I was internally driven to get that master. Better yet, I got 2 master's degrees. I was internally driven to make it to the finish line. And I announced that goal when the goal was achieved. And that's a powerful example of internally driven. I knew other people I was working with at the time in school getting their master's degree. I kept my mouth shut. And I knew people in my neighborhood who were in school to get their master's degree, but I kept my mouth shut. So I say that to say, when you are internally driven, no one is going to stop you from going after a goal. Marie Holiday has been internally driven my entire life. So I understand the power of this. Even I was in the military, you know, going through basic training, I was internally driven to earn that title as a Marine, because I'm telling you something, you ain't no just skate through Parris Island, not in the era that I went through, because if you were not internally driven, I saw people left and right couldn't even make it past basic training, because it was no joke, people. It was no joke. It was no joke graduating Parris Island during my era. There was no Big Brother. There was no drones. There was no camera. And them drill instructors broke us down physically, mentally, and spiritually. They broke us down to transform us into a Marine. But you know what? I was so internally driven, guided by my faith in God. I don't care what they did to me. I looked at them. I don't care what you do to me, because I'm going to make this journey. I'm going to make this journey because I know you can't kill me. Too many folks know I'm up here on this island. And that was real talk, people. I was so internally driven to earn that title as a Marine. Nothing was going to stop me because, like I said, I have been internally driven since as far back as I can remember. I believe I was born internally driven because it's internal. Can't nobody give this to you. So I say that to say, if you are not internally driven in regards to whatever goal that you're trying to achieve, project, self-development, I don't care what it is, it ain't going to last. It ain't going to sustain itself because it's not internal. And I'm here to tell you, I don't care what that goal is, weight loss, saving money, removing toxic people out of your life, going back to school, getting that degree, changing jobs, whatever. If you ain't internally driven to do this, it will not work, it will not last, it will not sustain itself. And this is real talk, people. This is real talk. This is real talk, that what I'm talking about in terms of understanding the power of being internally driven. And I'm gonna go so far to say in everything you do in life, you got to be internally driven. So that's all I have. Don't forget to mark your calendar. I'm gonna be ready to get down to business July 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna present my full copy edit of my accepted manuscript done by Page Publishing Company, world-renowned publishing company based out of New York. If you want to understand on what a full copy edit reads like, mark calendar July 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna be ready to get down to business. That's all I have. Simplify, Simple Fidelis, and I'm gonna leave you in the care of your own conscience. That's all I have.